Welcome from Indianapolis. I am Derwin Smiley. On today's show, I will have 3 conversations with the faculty of IUPUI to discuss diversity and inclusion. I am glad you are with me, and that show starts right now. Ms. Dawn Rhodes is the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration at IUPUI here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Ms. Rhodes, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
As I was saying earlier, I need to stay on your good side since you are the one with the finance, with the money. So tell me about yourself.
I actually came to IUPUI about 4 years ago. I have an undergraduate degree in accounting from the University of Michigan and a master's from the University of Toledo. I've been in higher ed education for almost 20 years and have always been in some area of finance. Very active in my professional background, in my profession. I am the first vice chair for the Central Association of College and University Business Officers. I will be the president this coming October. The gavel will turn over. I'm also a member of the board of the National Association of College and University Business Officers. And they're headquartered in DC, and they work with the legislation to try to make sure that things understand the challenges of higher education as laws are being passed, as well as help with professional development opportunities for other members of my profession. So,
tell me about your responsibilities in your position.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about IUPUI. It is not a small institution. There's 30,000 students there. We have a budget of $1.3 billion. So
you said $1.3
billion, yes. And so my responsibilities as Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration include not only the financial area, but the facilities area, so grounds, custodians, maintenance. It would have human resources as part of our portfolio. It has the police, environmental health and safety, which a lot of businesses don't necessarily have an equivalent of, but they make sure that our labs, the research labs that are being worked in, are safe. They make sure that our environment on campus stays safe. Additionally, I have auxiliary services, which includes the bookstore, food service, child care facility, and the natatorium is part of that portfolio. So there's our budget within finance and administration is about $96 million.
Tell me about, this show is dealing with diversity and the appreciation for diversity on the campus of IUPUI. Tell me, how is your department impacting diversity and inclusion?
A couple different ways. I think one thing, just me being in my role, it says a lot to our students of colors to see somebody in my role with that kind of responsibility. So I think being a role model for faculty, staff, students is one way. But I'll take an example in human resources. Intergroup dialogue is actually an experience that one of my daughters had at the University of Michigan, and she's brought that to the IUPUI campus, and between liberal arts and our human resource staff, we're trying to get that activated on campus. And what it is, it's small groups around different issues of diversity coming together on a regular basis, talking through the issues related to that particular topic they pick. It may be sexual orientation, it may be your religion, it may be your economic status, but people will come together and talk about the differences and the similarities and the things that tear people apart and bring them together, and hopefully with positive results at the end. So that's one example. So
in the future, what do you think diversity will look like at IUPUI?
Our chancellor has been so supportive. If you look across his cabinet, you know that he's serious about diversity. And as he stays as our leader, and we're able to cascade that down through our units, and Ken Durgans has been doing just great work, helping to bring junior faculty to campus in the diversity, across different diversity groups. We have a new Vice Chancellor for Student Life, and it's an African-American male, and I just really think that people will grow to value diversity even more than they do now, and you'll see more and more people of color on campus.
how much power do you have when it comes to making the hard decisions about the money?
The chancellor is the final say-so on everything, but he hires good people around him for a reason, and he does value our advice, and he listens to our advice. So I would say that I'm able to provide counsel to the chancellor, and he generally accepts and uses that counsel.
I wanted to go back to when you was talking about all of your awards and being on this board. Mm-hmm. Where did your passion come from to be into higher learning or education as a whole?
I happened into higher ed on a fluke, truly. I was in the private sector enjoying what I was doing, and somebody at my church was the HR director at the University of Toledo, and he said, you know, come and apply for this budget manager position, and I wasn't going to and wind up doing it. Once I got into higher ed, I just love it because it's an environment where people are constantly learning. You tend to find people more open. There's a lot of discourse and challenging each other on different things, and that environment, I think, is just engaging and alive.
I want to ask you, how important is inclusion? You always say diversity, diversity, but can you separate the two, diversity from inclusion?
I think we do a good job because it's not just talking about what our differences are, but it's also saying, how are we the same? And again, the cabinet, which has a significant population of diverse people on that cabinet, we are included. We're included in the decision making. So I think IUPUI is good at both.
So what does the future hold for you?
Oh, I'm happy where I am.
Good answer.
Hear that, Chancellor Vance? I'm very happy where I am, and I just want to keep having an impact on campus.
She is Miss Dawn Rhodes, the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration at IUPUI. Ms. Rhodes, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
IUPUI makes an impact every day in Indianapolis, statewide, across the U.S., and around the globe. It's educating more than 30,000 students, translating research into practice, and strengthening community. IUPUI, where impact is made every day.
Dr. Ken Durgans is the Assistant Chancellor of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at IUPUI here in the city of Indianapolis. Dr. Durgans, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Should say welcome back to the show.
Yes, indeed. It's nice being back.
Okay. Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm from Ohio. I was raised between two cities, Yellow Springs, Springfield. Educated college at Baldwin-Wallace, undergrad, political science history major. I have a master's in education from Kent State, a master's in counseling from University of Dayton, and my doctorate's in counseling psychology from Western Michigan. And I'm working here, as you know, at IUPUI.
Tell me about your responsibilities in your position now.
Well, my responsibilities basically are to work with all diversity initiatives at IUPUI, and that means recruitment, retention of students, faculty, and staff. We do community outreach, we do foundation work, so fundraising. We also work with business diversity. So we're pretty much integrated into the entire operation of the college and get a chance to see its, in a very broad sense.
I get the diversity and the inclusion.
Yes.
Where's the equity come in?
Well, the equity obviously is to make sure that all things are fair at the institution, and we're not the only operation actually that does that. We do have an office of equal opportunity, or EOE office. This responsibility basically is more the technical side of making sure that fairness happens, and we also work through our HR office, our human resources office, to make sure that on the staff level that everything is all that it should be.
Why is IUPUI so proactive when it comes to diversity and inclusion?
No question to me, it's in the leadership. We have a chancellor, Chancellor Vance, who has really made this a top priority, and our leadership team, which I'm a part of, is just very dedicated to making sure that happens, and it sort of filters its way all the way down through our deans, through pretty much everybody who works at the institution. It really is inclusive at IUPUI right now. people do things on their own to make sure that diversity happens. And that makes my job easier, but it also speaks even broader to the commitment that we have. It's beyond just the office of diversity, but it's really in the fabric of the institution.
How is your office impacting diversity and inclusion at IUPUI and beyond?
Well, part of what we do is actually coordinate services. One of the things that was missing was there was a lot of great things happening at IUPUI that needed to be coordinated, so to speak. So we bring those things together. We also spend a lot of time in the promotion of those things. One of the things a lot of people don't do when they're doing good things, sometimes they're so busy doing them that they don't talk about them. So what we try to do is make sure that happens. So we have agreements with different media outlets in the city to make sure that we get the word out. We use other social media to make sure that we're getting the word out. And we also spend a lot of time educating ourselves through a diversity cabinet that we have that's made up of a variety of folks on campus that have a stake in diversity. So we spend a lot of time work very, very hard to make sure that all aspects of diversity, one, we're doing it, and two, we're letting people know that we're doing it. And I think the word is out. When I travel nationally, people know what's going on. They look at our website, you can tell what's going on. So it's created an excitement. It makes it easier for us to recruit other minorities to campus. Many, I mean, they basically want to come here. So we're doing some great things in terms of diversifying our faculty as well. So it's really a lot of positive things going on on the diversity front.
What is the benefit of diversity and inclusion?
Well, it's obvious in Indianapolis, the number of folks who come from ethnically different or different backgrounds has grown substantially. And I think primarily, if you want to just look at it in practical terms, it's economic. So every time we take folks who weren't doing well and educate them and allow them to have the ability to have the type of job that's going to, give back in taxes and all those types of things, it's a win-win for everybody. So I spend a lot of my time on that level, the very practical level. And there's the feel-good level. It's the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, when you want to measure something, when we are able to increase the number of folks who have degrees, then to the Indianapolis and in the state of Indiana, we're doing a benefit from an economic standpoint. And that, in the big picture, is going to allow us to attract more jobs and companies who want to locate where folks are educated and all folks are educated.
How much power do you have with decision making?
Well, I'm part of the cabinet, and the cabinet is a decision-making partner of our institution. So my say-so is it's pretty substantial. I mean, we listen to each other. We may have some debate sometimes, but at the end of the day, I can safely say that everybody is on the diversity piece at our campus. So we've been able to enact a lot of things. It's not, I don't look at it as an individual, but as an institution, because we've been on the same page with diversity. And so the power has actually come in the fact that our cabinet is so committed to making sure that diversity is a high priority.
So 5, 10 years from now, what will IUPUI look like?
The goal that we've set for ourselves is to be #1 in terms of graduating students of color. At least, well, I shouldn't say #1, but at least in the top 100. And we believe we can do that. And that's a pretty I think, important, goal to have. We also believe in terms of the diversity of our staff that it's going to be, substantial as well, so that we will be truly reflecting the numbers that are in the greater Indianapolis greater Indianapolis community in terms of Hispanics, African Americans, Asian Americans, etc. We want to look at our students, and we want our students to be going to the best graduate schools, going to the best companies. So, we've upped the standards in terms of standards and expectations. Our students are living up to it, and that's the fun part. They see the benefit of having higher standards. They see the benefit of making sure that they, get the grades and that they're supposed to get. Because when they walk out of here, with an IUPUI name that really means something. And that's the vision. That's what we really want to happen. And I think lastly, we want the folks of Indianapolis, to be proud of us. To understand that we are part of the community, that we give back to the community. So we're going to do and spend a lot of time making sure that at every step of the way, we're communicating our successes to the greater Indianapolis community.
Where does your passion come from?
I think it was how I was raised. I mean, I was raised in a community that basically valued community and family, and we just basically said that our goal was to give back and to uplift everybody around us. And if we uplifted everybody around us, then obviously our boat will float, you know, a little higher as well. So to me, it's just second nature, because, and the other thing is that people did it for me. My parents were examples of folks who gave back to the community and were very participatory. So all that stuff rubbed off on me. And so I'm just passionate about this. I love this. My day is great. I smile every day. There has not been a bad day since I've been here for 4 years at IUPUI, because there's a commitment. And at the end of the day, when you have a commitment, then to me, it's not a bad day. Can't be. Can't be.
Here's Dr. Ken Durgans of IUPUI. Dr. Durgans, thanks for coming on.
Thanks again. It's always a pleasure.
At IUPUI, diversity is valued. The School of Engineering and Technology awards more engineering technology bachelor's degrees to women than any other university in the nation. IUPUI, where impact is made every day.
Dr. Zebulun Davenport is the Vice Chancellor of Student Life at IUPUI campus here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Dr. Zebulun, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me, who is Dr. Zebulun Davenport?
Well, I came actually, I'll start with my degrees, how about that?
Okay.
Born and raised in Winchester, Virginia, and got my bachelor's degree from James Madison University. Got it in communications, a minor in human services. Went back to school, got a master's degree in college student personnel administration from James Madison University. And I received my doctorate from Nova Southeastern University in higher education and leadership. Been working in higher ed since 1992, and have worked at 5 institutions prior to coming to IUPUI. I've been in administration the entire time. So I love what I do, and wouldn't change a minute of it.
Where did you get the passion for education?
You know, it's funny, my mother is a second grade school teacher. My father quit school in the 7th grade. But my father always instilled in us, get a good education. It's the one thing nobody can take from you. My mother always wanted an education, and she married and had children starting at the age of 14, 5 of us. And every one of us graduated from high school. 3 of us have college degrees. My mother has a bachelor's degree, 2 master's degrees, and a doctorate. So you talk about passion, I had to do it. You know what I mean? Had no choice.
Yeah. So tell me your responsibilities in your present position at IUPUI.
So I'm the Vice Chancellor for Student Life. I deal with all the things that happen outside of the classroom, not all the things, a number of things that happen outside of the classroom. We call it the co-curricular. We deal with student leadership, we deal with student housing, we still deal with conduct. We deal with those things that allow students to get involved outside of the classroom that help them become a well-rounded student. So it complements what's going on in the classroom.
How important is diversity and inclusion for the students at IUPUI?
So a lot of times people talk about diversity, and they used to say diversity was being politically correct. And my notion is that when you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, it to me now it's what you call educationally sound doctrine. It's not about being politically correct. If you want to go and be, successful and competitive in today's world, not just in the marketplace, you better understand that people around you are not going to all look like you, talk like you, walk like you, act like you, or speak like you. So in order to just be able to make it in today's society, you need to understand what diversity is all about and how you fit into that.
Do you think the students get it?
I think there are a lot more students who get it now than ever before. You know, because you look at today's society, and it's a more diverse environment anyway. So they're coming into the, to me, the educational environment much further along than even when I went to school. You know, it was more monolithic, but now it's more in a more eclectic environment. So I think a lot of them get it, but there's still a lot more who don't get it.
So what do you think the future holds for the students of IUPUI?
In terms of
that's diversity and inclusion. That's getting it, passing it down to their kids, like you said, your mother did with the passion.
I think, to be quite honest with you, where we're going on that campus, we have a number of, and this is one thing I will say to you, one of the reasons I came to IUPUI is because we have a very diverse leadership team. This is my second vice presidency, and I'm on a team with 2 other African Americans. There are a total of 3, I think 3 women. There's a Middle Eastern individual who is the provost or executive vice chancellor. I mean, we have a very diverse team at IUPUI. That can't help but trickle down to everybody else, because diversity is not just segmented. It's a part of what we do. We show it at the leadership level all the way through. It's infused in who we are and what we do. And I think the future is bright. A student coming to IUPUI, not only is it an urban institution, it's right downtown, but you've got a very diverse student population, international students. So you come there, you will, just by nature of being on that campus, you're going to get an education about diversity, you know.
Tell me about the buy-in of the chancellor with diversity and inclusion.
Well, I'll just say one sentence. Look at his leadership team. You can talk about it all day long and preach about it and do whatever, but it's in your actions. And this man has hired 3 African Americans on his leadership team. That's rare. That's really rare. The budget person, African American. He created a department, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then in student life, African American. So there's 3 of us at that level. I don't have to say anything else.
How happy are you with your position at IUPUI?
You know, that place is nimble enough that we've been able to, even in today's environment, come together around issues, around topics, around programs, around services. And in today's higher education world, it's pretty rare that you can go to a place and make change happen and pull people together. And I've only been there since July, and I can see the fact that people want to come together in meaningful ways. So it makes me very satisfied to be at that campus.
So what does the future hold for Dr. Zebulun Davenport?
You know, quite honestly, I believe in working hard. I keep my shoulder to the grind, you know what I mean? I'm content with where I am, but never satisfied with where I'm content with what I have, but never satisfied with where I am. So the harder I work, I believe that people will put me in the right positions. And I pray to God every night that I'm doing what's right, that I'm helping somebody as I help myself, and whatever's out there for me, I believe I'll get it.
It seems like it's just a wonderful thing. Just tell me, what does the future 2 or 3 years from now, what will IUPUI look like?
Wow. If it keeps going like it's going, I think IUPUI will be a place where people say, I need to be there. Not just students, faculty, staff, administrators. That place is progressive. I need to be there. And that's where we're going. I know that's where we're going in student affairs. We want to make this, what we do in student affairs, we want to become nationally known for the programs and services that we provide our students. And we not to be nationally known, but we want people to say, man, what they're doing, I need to be doing. And that's where we're going. We're going to make it work.
He is Dr. Zebulun Davenport of IUPUI. Dr. Davenport, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Visit the Derwin Smiley Show online for weekly blogs, previous shows, the television schedule, sponsorship information, or to post a comment or show idea. We want to hear from you and find out how we can inspire the greatness in you. Log on to www.thederwinsmileyshow.com today.
I wanted to take time out of our show this evening to give a hearty thank you to Mr. Mark Miles for agreeing to sit down with my wife and I to come up with the Super Bowl Legacy Project documentary. Also, I want to thank Ms. Allison Melanchthon and Mr. Tony Mason for agreeing to allow this project to go off. Also, I want to thank WFYI for agreeing to produce the series. Can't say enough about Mr. Jim Simmons. Can't say enough about Mr. Pete and the whole film crew. Can't say enough about Mr. Lloyd Wright. Can't say enough about Alan Clough. Cannot say enough about Mr. Clayton Taylor of WFYI. And I thank you for all the support that you have given me for this entire year that we put this 4-part series together to document the Super Bowl Legacy Project. And I am just honored because I am a part of history. If you remember one thing about the Super Bowl Legacy Project documentary series, remember this, that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things. It was ordinary people who came up with the Quality of Life Plan. Ordinary people donated breast tissue samples for the Super Cure, for breast cancer research. Ordinary people knitted 13,000 scarves. Ordinary people organized community cleanup days. Ordinary people planted 2,012 trees by 2012. And there will be ordinary people who will continue this momentum to continue the revitalization that is taking place on the Near East Side and other communities in the future. The question being asked is, what will history say about Super Bowl 46? What will history say about Super Bowl 46? I believe history will rise up with a loud voice and say this, that the ordinary people of Indiana did an extraordinary thing by raising the bar and the standard so high for Super Bowl host cities and Super Bowl legacy projects that neither the living, the dead, or the unborn will ever be able to surpass what we achieved. Let me say that again. I believe history will rise up with her loud voice and say that the ordinary people of Indiana did an extraordinary thing for Super Bowl 46 by raising the standard and the bar so high when it comes to Super Bowl host cities and Super Bowl legacy projects that the living, the dead, nor the unborn will ever be able to surpass what we achieved. So yes, I stand here tonight with my chest poked out. I stand here tonight with swagger. I stand here tonight with pride. I stand here tonight honored to say that I am a Hoosier. And I am just so honored and grateful that I was a part of history by hosting the Super Bowl Legacy Project documentary. So I am so honored and proud to be a Hoosier. And remember, my sole purpose is to inspire the greatness in you. I'll see you next time.